might as well join us as we progress. Thanks for all of you guys who've joined in for today's session. We missed you all 2 weeks ago. We had a reprieve for a week, so we're back on schedule 2 weekly going forward again. I don't have any exciting news from my side. I'd like to introduce Robin. Robin Lodge has been with Better Place to Work for a good couple of years, and he operates out of the east of the UK, and he's had numerous good customers through Better Place to Work over the years, and he just signed up a huge business, USP College, after batting for 3 years. So those people who have been batting and say that we haven't got it over the line, you just keep at it. 3 years later, Robin's got them over the line. There's almost 600 people in that company, so it's a nice payday for him, and he's very chuffed about that. He's here to tell us about what he does, how he does it, insights into what makes it work better, how we can make it work better from a business point of view. So, Robin, if it's okay, can I hand over to you?
Of course you can. Of course you can. Hello, everyone. Good to meet you all formally. As Brian said, my name's Robin Lodge. I thought I'd start by giving you a little bit of background about where I come from. So, Brian suggests I've been with An Even Better Place to Work for a couple of years. I've probably been with it for about 15 years ago.
Oh.
When his name escapes me now. The magician man. Yeah, when he was all involved in it. So we go back a long way. So I've had quite a lot of exposure to it in lots of different ways. My personal journey in terms of getting involved into what I've been involved in, you're not going to believe this, but I actually started training in 1984. Which, looking around the room, some of you weren't even born then. I'm looking at Brian in particular, probably wasn't around at that time. And I got involved by mistakes. I don't think anybody ever wakes up in the morning or leaves school and go, I want to be a trainer. It just so happened that a series of choices and decisions led me into working with 16, 17-year-olds, and then moving up through the ranks. So some of you may be long in the tooth to remember companies like GEC Marconi. So I used to work at the GEC Marconi College, and we used to tour around the UK training people. I then moved on and started to work more locally for family reasons. Formed my own company, and then after about 9 months, I got headhunted to a company who was working, actually turning off the lights at Guinness in London. So we're involved in a lot of the consultancy work there. And then after about 12 years there, starting as a junior consultant and leaving as director of learning and development, I started up my own business on my 50th birthday, exactly on my 50th birthday. So I know the date.
It's an easy one.
November the 15th, 2010. So 15 years, and this will be my November the 15th. I'll have been in business for 15 years. I work for myself, and I do have a group of associates, about 75 associates, who come in to do some occasional work, although I'm sort of moving away from that model a wee bit, as I quite enjoy doing all the delivery myself. My client base is incredibly varied. So my client base can vary from a two-man organization up to the likes of people like Sony PlayStation. You'll know a couple of these names, Roger. Natural History Museum, the Imperial War Museum. I worked with the London LOCOG, the Olympic Committee, when we had the Olympics here in 2012. But I also work for a number of the major banks, Barclays, NatWest, Deutsche, as well as a number of international solicitors, and smaller businesses, including, as Brian said, I'm governor of the local college that has about 2,500 students, where we've just launched An Even Better Place to Work. And in fact, I'm just discussing with a local authority of some 3,500 people the opportunity to put an even better place into work there as well. And I'm hoping that takes a little bit less than 3 years. If I get
Me
two
too.
years, 9 months, it's an improvement, right? So all heading in the right direction. Um, and the majority of my work tends to be around management development, around coaching, and learning consultancy. So I've got my fingers in lots of different pies, working with lots of different types of organization, public, private, and third party, third sector. Um, and I thought what would be quite useful would perhaps share with you the story about how we got into, or how I managed to get it into USP, with a lot of help and patience from Brian. But how I position it in terms of my product range and how I've used it to help in develop what I offer to people. So I am going to share screens with people if that's okay. I don't normally do that, but I think it's just easier for, yeah, the last time I used this, there it is. I can't remember when I last used Zoom. There we go. Okay, so I did forget to mention that a lot of my work is also remote. So I do a lot of remote work, a lot of face-to-face work, a lot of hybrid work as well. So combination and combinations of all of that stuff. But you can see in front of you, I've got this thing called Aspire. Okay, so um, what I discovered, as a lot of us probably did when COVID kicked off, I don't know what happened in South Africa for COVID, but in the UK we got locked down into our little boxes, and we're not allowed out unless you remember the government, in which case you could do what the hell you wanted, apparently. But
Mm.
during that time, especially as we moved into lockdown, all of my work was face to face, and I was thinking, this is it. This is the end of it. Early retirement, end of, because this is not going to go away for a period of time. And then I sort of gave myself a kick up the butt and said, no, we can do some remote training. So I started thinking about remote work, and I started off doing a bit of work around how to work at home, and how to manage people from home. But that got me thinking, and I thought, I've been training leadership in management for probably best part of 30 years up to that date. And the conversation would always tend to go, can you come in and talk to us about management training? And I'd walk in, say yes. What would you like? And they say, what do you do? And I say, what do you want? And they go, what do you do? And I say, what do you want? And we'd go around these handbags trying to work out what everybody wanted. So I thought, we could make this into a package that would save an awful lot of work for everyone. So I developed this program, and the reason it's called Aspire is because I was actually working with Zurich, the insurers, and they wanted a program. So we came out with Aspire for their juniors and Inspire for their senior team. But I developed this program. It looks like this. So the Aspire program, day one was about leadership in the 21st century. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to think about an even better place to work as I'm talking. So what I discovered, when I reflected, was that actually so many so-called leaders had no idea what leadership was. They had no clue about their behaviors, how their behaviors affected other people's emotions, how it affected their performance, what the key facets of effective leadership was, and how through behavioral flexibility they could develop and increase the results they were getting and make their life a lot easier. So the first day was really a positioning day, help them to understand the power they had within. From there, I then realized that actually it's all very well, but I don't know how many of you have been or are in management. I remember my first management role, and my boss said to me, he said, just keep on what you're doing and keep the team happy. That's all you got to do. And it's like, well, that sounds really easy until you try and do it, and then you realize it's not quite as simple as that. So what I then thought was actually what we need to do is we need to help people understand what their priorities are, the shift from being somebody in the workforce to somebody who's leading at whatever level, um, and how to delegate effectively, because everybody was running around like mad things, not understanding how to delegate, or indeed confusing delegation with allocating jobs out to people. The next stage was to get them to think about their team. So here we go. Let's talk about what a team is. Again, a lot of confusion about what a team is and what it actually means and how you create that team and how you can make the team responsible for its own environment and how it moves itself forward. And the fact that the leader doesn't need to make all the decisions within that team or take responsibility for everything that goes on in the team. So I gave them a couple of tools, a couple of things called the team health audit, another one called the what I call the wagon wheel, which actually started to look at the conditions in which they were working. Does this sound a little bit familiar?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Getting
starting to introduce the tool now, helping them to understand that actually there are tools out there to help them to make this stuff happen. But then we needed to talk about some of the other things that people were getting wrong. So then we pulled in around performance management. So moving away from this concept that performance management is about dealing with people who aren't delivering to actually how do you enhance everybody? How do you enhance your good performers? How do you keep your good performers working? And how do you stop people moving into the lower echelons of performance? And as we looked at that, then we started to help people to understand motivation. So moving away from things like Maslow, um, and talking about some of the more modern approaches that we use, but also giving them some basic understanding of coaching, so that again they were developing their team and getting the team to take responsibility for themselves and how they can make their decisions in order to improve the effectiveness of themselves and of the individuals. And I produced that and I thought I'll road test that. So I put it out there. What do you think the reaction in the marketplace was?
Hmm.
Not, maybe it doesn't explain how it answers their needs enough. So they were like, okay, that's great, but how does it help me?
Absolutely. So this is where it gets interesting. So actually that absolutely flew off the shelves. It was literally I could just point people to the web page and they would go, that's exactly what I want. What was really interesting that I didn't pitch it anywhere. I didn't say this was for first line managers or middle line managers or anywhere else. I just this is it. And actually I had a lot more middle managers and a lot more senior managers than you can imagine actually attending this program. And I've actually got 5 clients that I'm running this continually in a cycle in their business. So in terms of cognitive learning and understanding it, people were getting it, but there was an issue with it. And the issue was exactly that, Ola. People said, you know what? That's great, but how do I know it's working? What's actually happening? And that's sort of like the thing that we want out of training, isn't it? One of my favorite quotes is um, the end product of all training is behavioral change. It doesn't matter what you're doing, it's about creating behavioral change. So I started to think, how can I actually create behavioral change in the business? So then I came up with this little idea, a performance pledge. So at the end of every session, people had 24 hours to reflect, and that they would come back to me, they'd email me, and they would say one thing that they were going to do differently. Okay, and I'm sure we've all done this if you've been training. What are you going to do differently? People come in with a whole host of things, and they do exactly
nothing.
nothing, 100%. And I just thought, there's a little point in people going away making all these promises and actually doing nothing with them. So the easier thing to do is just give me one thing, one simple, I don't care what it is, one simple thing that you promise me that you are going to do. If it's just have a conversation with a team member, if it's I'm going to make sure I'm going to revisit my vision for my team, whatever it is, just go away and do it. But you have to email me and tell me what it is. So we're building an accountability now. And when we come back together for the next day, you have to tell the group how you got on. Wow. Once people got it, it started to fly. Right, people. I had these pledges coming in. I don't know how many a day. People, I was going in, first part of the day, first half hour, maybe longer. I was actually just talking about how they're getting on with their pledges. The degree of learning that came out of just doing that one thing was absolutely immense. The degree of buy-in that people gave me as a result was absolutely incredible. So now what I've got people coming along, they're learning, and they're taking that bit of learning, and some of them may be in environments where perhaps risk is not appreciated, or taking challenges is not appreciated. Now they're going away, they're making one little change, they're gaining their confidence. What that's doing is then creating a little tidal wave of change without even trying. Now they're creating change. Okay. And as I think it was Leo Tung said, every long journey starts with one small step. So we just got them moving, one small thing that you can do. And it might have been getting feedback. So listen to it, might have been giving feedback from my team. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
Getting them to tell me what's not quite working for them, having a one-to-one with their team members. Sound familiar? So starting to lay this groundwork down so that people are feeling brave enough to have some of these conversations in a fairly controlled way. But they would have 5 of these things to do. And that was working really well. But then the next level was to say, actually, we need to prove to people that actually there is value in doing this for the individual as well as for the organization. So there has to be a joint payback. So what I then did is start to investigate, and I used to do a lot of work with the Institute of Leadership and Management in the UK at one point in time. They hived off. They became the Institute of Leadership. So what I then did, as I've got the whole suite, because Aspire is actually a number of, that's the core suite that I showed you, but there are a number of different modules. We got it all approved with the Institute of Leadership. And then what we did is we connected that into the pledge. So in other words, if you send me all your pledges, then you'll get a pass, an Institute of Leadership pass. However, if your line manager signs it off to say you have completed your pledges, then you get a distinction. What do you think that's starting to promote?
Accountability.
Accountability and conversations about the training before they even get to me, which of course then stops me having these conversations. And again, I don't know if you train, but the conversations where say, what do you want out of today? I don't know, I was sent. We've broken that. I am not part of your development. Development is a separate issue to line management responsibility, which again starts to link into all the things that we're talking about, an even better place to work, the promotion of that conversation, the making sure that people are in alignment with why we're doing this stuff and how it all links together. So Brian spoke to you about, it took 3 years to get into USP, and this is the reason it was taking 3 years to get into USP, because it's such a large organization. Had to work with each different division, department in order to prove the worth and to get the communication working. So that's where we got to. Here's the program. This is what it looks like, the core program. We linked it into small steps of performance improvement and change. And then we link that back into the Institute of Leadership. So people do get Institute of Leadership certification. And they also get membership as well. So once they finish the program, they walk away as a member of the Institute, which, if you're in things like engineering and science, absolutely love it. How does it sound so far?
Very interesting.
Any questions before I go on? Because there's another few stages yet.
Well, at what point do you introduce Better Place to Work?
We'll come into that in a minute.
Oh, okay.
Go into that. It's all
I'm very
about.
excited to see how they
Doing it
merge.
subliminally.
It's,
You're not
it's,
paying attention.
yeah, it's all about setting the scene. It's all about positioning pieces so that when you get to that point, because you remember, Brian, the only issue we had was an ineffective HR director.
Yeah.
All the other ducks are in a row.
Mm.
Everybody knows where we are.
Yeah. Brilliant.
But apart from when is an even better place to work coming in, any other questions or thoughts about what I've described so far?
Not from me, Robin. Sorry, I missed my train home, so I've missed the first part of your talk. But I'll listen to the recording.
Okay, it's very. I have to say, Doug, it's very good.
Thanks. I'll look forward to that then.
Yeah. I think you should. I think you should.
Yeah.
I'm even gonna watch it myself. Okay, so we got to this place of leadership, and the program's starting to run. It's trundling along at quite a rate of knots, but there was still more work to be done because remember, Even Better Place to Work is about continuous improvement. It's about continuing the journey. It's about how do we make that happen? How do we move that forward? For a long time, I've always toyed with this idea, and I have come to a conclusion that actually, when we look at, for instance, training, a lot of stuff we do in marketing, actually we do in training as well. We just don't realize that that's what we're doing. So I turned my attention, and I thought, when we look at, for instance, advertising, we don't just go in and you don't just see one advert. You see a chain of adverts, right? So we extend the experience. And I started to think about, so how do we extend the experience? How do I make it so that I can be there even when I'm not there, and people can be learning even when I'm not there? So I then started to explore the concept of automation. So I set about looking at some automation software. I started off using something as simple as MailChimp, and then moved on to more extensive automation software, where actually I could be training and people are still receiving all their information, all their workbooks as I'm working with another group. So I started off doing very simple things like that. And then the one thing I forgot to tell you was that Spire works approximately once a month. So I've got a sort of 3-week window, stroke 4-week window without contact. So what I then did was I thought, actually, you know what? I need to curate some stuff. So I started to put some curated learning in for people. Some of that would be in alignment with what I was saying. Some of it would be contradictory to broaden the thought process. And then latterly, I've actually got it now so that when people put in their pledges, they get the state of their pledges back to them as well. So their pledges are constant reminders as they're moving forward. And they can, so as they move through the program, they have regular contact with me. I'm gathering regular feedback, not just on the program, but on their work environment, how it feels to be in that work environment. And then as they come out of the program, they have a year-long weekly newsletter, information letter that focuses on the issues around the program. So we're extending the learning by a further year. So it's not a 5-week program or a 5-month program. It's actually an 18-month program by the time they come to the end of this stuff. So the automation is there, educating, continuing to educate people as they move forward. And then Guess what, Brian?
I guess so this is where the fun begins.
That's where it starts to begin. So now we're embedded in the organization. We've got the trust. We've got the ears of all the right people. And now we bring in the concept of systemization and structure and holding leaders accountable for performance.
Mm.
Okay. I did toy and I did trial putting a better place to work in first and using that to measure the return. And it didn't work. Actually failed quite miserably. So I found the best way to put it in there is to backload it. Do a lot of work at the front, because then that gives me the space to have conversations with people and some challenging conversations with people at all levels about the results that are coming in. So I've got myself in a place where I don't necessarily have to soften the message, and I don't have to play the games, because I wouldn't say I was non-exec in there, but I've got a lot of clout because I have a lot of ears
Mm.
going on. And also because I've seen a lot of the business by that time, I can actually justify the results because I can see the evidence to support that stuff as well.
Oh.
Which, of course, then the great thing is when we start seeing those results come through, that feeds into
Exactly what you do.
next year and the year after and the year after that. So it starts to shape the program. So it makes Aspire a very dynamic program, actually, because the reality is that I don't think I've ever run any single one of them the same way once. The content, the stories have to change, and the key messaging has to change as well. And that's where I bring this in.
But you spend a long time looking at the needs of the organization before you even talk to them about Better Place to Work.
I drop things in. I drip feed it
Yeah.
as we go along. So I get them to start thinking about, how are they measuring their leadership teams? How do they know what job they lead? Because a lot of times they'll come to me and they go, yeah, we need to improve our leadership. And I go, how and why? And they go, well, it's not very good. Well, how do you know that? What's telling you that? What are your triggers? Because normally it's triggers that tell people this stuff. What are your triggers? Tell me what's going on? Well, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. Oh, what doesn't feel right? Be precise. It does get me kicked out the door from time to time as well, because they just want a quick fix.
Yeah.
As you can see with the grey hair, I'm a bit long in the tooth, so I don't have time I don't do jobbing training. Just turn up and deliver and walk out the door at the end of the day and take the money. It's no fun in that at all. So this is about laying that foundation, and making sure that we're in the right place, because it's a great product, but like anything, it's a bit like PowerPoint, isn't it? PowerPoint's fantastic, but if it's abused or not used correctly, it's one of the worst things ever. And dare I say it, any tool that's misused is actually quite dangerous. So creating that right environment is actually quite key, I think, to making that transition and getting that hunger going with people. So some of the tools we use quite a lot of polar charts and that color system, the red, green, yellow.
Yeah.
Because again, it's just real. So when they see it, it's not it's totally different. They're being guided in that general direction. And of course, they can choose to drop out. If they don't want to go down that road, that's absolutely fine as well. We've still planted the seed. And who knows, perhaps in the future, they may or may not come back to us. But the point is, we're doing it in the right way, and we're creating the right environment for it to work.
Yeah.
Which is what I really that's what I want to happen. I don't want to just pop it in, because I don't think that helps anybody particularly.
No.
So I guess the next bit to think about really is, so what are the next steps? Where are we going to take this? So the last 6 to 7 months has really been spent working with some clients on looking at and exploring AI, surprise, surprise,
Mm.
and how we're going to use AI to actually draw conclusions from the results that we're getting from an even better place to work, cross not only just cross departments, but perhaps cross organizations. So seeing how my next job, my next little piece, will be to grab another couple of clients, and then perhaps see how we could get them working cross-culturally or cross-business to see what insights they can gain from each other. So forming a learning network, I think, could be really interesting.
That's if they want to share.
Yes, and that's the that's the key, isn't it? It's about finding the right clients who are not in competition with each other and can see benefit in
Value.
sharing with each other.
Mm.
And I think we're in a place now where we could start to actually start thinking about how to make that happen and what that might look like.
Yeah,
Creating a framework.
it's a very interesting direction.
I think there's the reality is that no organization can realistically survive on its own or be totally successful on its own. It needs partners. And even those partners are in the same groups or the same corporations, they still need partners. There's a degree of mutuality that must exist. So why not share the best practice?
Mm.
Then you both start to really get the leaps and bounds. It's a bit like taking best practice, isn't it? Best practice is not about going into the business next door and just doing exactly what they're doing. You bring it in-house and you evolve it to fit what you're doing and how you're doing it. So that's one way that I would like to see me taking this stuff, and also, start playing with AI to see what AI makes of it and what it can draw from some of the results it gets as well, perhaps over a time series or cross-departmental. We're already, by the way, some of the things we also do, and I hadn't added to this, was that we also build things in like behavioral profiling into programs for people. We also build in emotional intelligence profiling and high performance trait indicator profiling as well, so that we can pull in a whole load of extra data into the situation, which is actually what was one of my thoughts for AI, because already we're using AI to cross-reference people's profiles to see where the potential conflict and benefit areas are. There's some incredible stuff out there. I use AI to write the majority of my workbooks now. So if I've got a new client, AI will write that stuff for me. Why do I want to do that?
It's much quicker, and actually it looks up detail much better than we do.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And just tell it you've got a 5-day program and it links all the 5 days together and it does all the intersessional learning as well. It's fantastic. It really is. But that's how I hope you found that interesting. That's how I use it. That's the pre-work that I do. I know you're all working in different ways. But being in the training field, that just made the logical sense about moving that in, and creating that platform for success, really.
Mercy?
Mercy's hand is up.
Hi, Robin. Thanks for a really great presentation. Just a quick question. The self-managed activities that we leave the teams with, in context of an even better place to work, how do they resonate or how do they align to the workbooks that you have developed, the program that you have developed and you set the foundation with?
Good question. So one thing we do is, because I was very early years in there, and forgive me, Brian, because I don't know if we still do it, but they used to do this, where is it? It's over the back there, actually.
Prop box.
The little box, the prop box.
Yeah, we still do that.
So I actually build the prop box into some of my training.
Oh, okay.
So I actually give it to someone and go, there you go. I want you to
Brilliant.
session and they just pick it up and run with it. And then when they're left,
Brilliant.
they know what they're doing. And in fact, some of them have taken that and converted it into like SharePoint stuff, so that again they can disseminate that very quickly.
Mm.
Because normally one prop box is not normally enough, to be fair.
No.
So yeah, I take some of those. So for instance, I'll give an example. On day 5, when we do the motivation and coaching, remember the motivation cards?
Yeah.
We use the motivation cards to get them to
Okay.
everybody's motivated slightly differently. What's the other one? How am I appreciated? We use that as well when we're talking about praise. When we talk about performance management and how people get rewarded, we use that piece of kit for that as well. So we try and it, to be honest with you, mostly it sounds like a great massive organization, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
I'm getting better and better at it, because as I'm seeing more and more links, I'm able to use that. And actually what we've also found is that a lot of the stuff in the prop box we use in totally different ways as well, that lead us in a different way. So we've developed new games as a result of having that base plate to work with as well.
Oh, lovely. I think we've distributed a couple of the partners have got prop boxes, and it works really, really well for them. And obviously, if anybody wants one, just give us a shout. There's a cost involved, obviously. We did a huge activation with another academy, Ebor Academy, which is all over York area and all over the place. 23 schools, and they took a prop box for every single school. So it is handy, and it's something that you can actually drive. You can make a bit more money out of it as well. So yeah,
it's good.
keep that in mind.
It's a good bit of kit. It's a good useful bit of kit. Any other questions? Or have I just blown you out of the water and you're totally amazed? And
no, look, I think for me, we had Mercy on our session a few weeks ago, and she's very much of the same opinion as to what you are, which is different to the way I've always done Better Place to Work. And that was that we actually need to address the needs, and we need to find out what the customer wants, and blah, blah, blah. And it's a process. I don't advocate a 3-year process to anybody. I'm a person who likes to sell bananas. So you walk in, you're hungry, you buy a banana, and we move on, or a muffin or whatever. So that's how I've always tried to do Better Place to Work. And listening to Mercy a few weeks ago and listening to you today, there's definitely a journey at the beginning of all of this, where you actually have to spend some time to actually find what the needs are of the organization, as opposed to just sell them straight up. I'm busy doing a playbook now for all. You'll all get a copy of it in the next week or two. And it addresses the fact that actually we have 42 diagnostics. You know, we have everything from neuroscience to AI, you name it, we've got it. But yet we try and sell. I've always tried to just sell satisfaction at work. Whereas there's actually, like in your case, Robin, where you're doing different elements of it. You can introduce a diagnostic halfway through just to have a look at a particular element there. Yeah, leadership, for example. We've got a diagnostic on leadership. And you can actually sell those in, which actually by the time you get to doing the maintenance program, they've already spent a fortune with you, but they haven't had to write out a big check. And actually you've addressed the needs all the way along. So they've done that, and you've seen the result, and you're using that to measure. And yeah, there's a cost involved in doing it, but I think it just shows that you actually care more about what you're trying to achieve, as opposed to selling them something. And I think what we're trying to do. Hi, my name's Brian Beck. We've got a Better Place to Work, and we drive performance, and we look after you, and we want your money. You're saying, what can I do for you? And I heard you say it quite often. It's like, why? You want leadership. Why do you want that? Why do you want that? And so you keep asking them the question until eventually they give in and give you what you want to need. So
absolutely, and there is scope for all the other bits and pieces come in. So one thing I haven't told you with Glyn is that I've just developed a new program for him. We're starting in September, and here's the interesting piece: all their leadership training has to have an element of AI embedded in it. So it's how do you use AI to have that difficult conversation? How do you use AI to prioritize your time? So we're already building that in, which opens another door for another conversation about AI readiness within the business. That opens up another door about cybersecurity and cyber awareness. So it becomes in my eyes, it becomes an ongoing dialogue that I'm having with key people in the business where I can say, by the way, did you know you also have this and you have this? And by the way, they all talk, it's all on the same system, so there's nothing new to be learned. It's the similar process. You know the process, but you're getting better and better data out of it. So for me, it's about creating the journey. Do I mention BPTW at the beginning? Probably not, because it's part of the journey. When's the right time to raise it, and bring it to their attention? Not if they're battling with poor motivation and poor morale. They need to right the ship, and then you can bring that in because they're fighting too many fires.
Yeah.
And it's just about launching the BBTW ship at the right time, I guess.
Robin, this Aspire program that you keep talking about, is that an in-house program which you've designed yourself, or is it a global program?
100% developed it myself, and keep on developing it and variants of it as well. So now we've got Aspire. I launched Aspire in one organization, and now we've got so the Aspire became one of their part of their talent management program. We've just launched Accelerate, which is for them managers who've only been in post for 2 or 3 weeks, to help them. Very practical, very grounded stuff. And a couple of weeks before that, we launched the Aspirational Leader, which is for those people who haven't got a leadership role, who aspire to it, which is a warts and all. This is what it's really like to manage people. You know, you've seen all the marketing stuff. This is what the product is really like. So working with them, working with their senior leadership team in creating a performance culture, and over the next 6 months, we'll be bringing Better Place to Work to the table.
Okay.
So it's all about alignment, getting everything in the race, so everything's just ready to go. And then they're very IT literate, so it will literally just be here it is, but now you know how to use the data to best effect. You can hit the ground running.
So I have another one question from myself. So when you were building this Aspire program, where was the rationale from that coming? Were you using the information from A Better Place to Work already at the beginning of building the program, or did you build the program and then say, oh wait, Better Place to Work actually fits into the program? Or did you say, I know Better Place to Work, I've been doing it, I'm going to build a program and I could slot in different modules along the way?
No, it was literally, I got fed up of writing loads and loads of programs that essentially did the same thing, rewriting and rewriting. So I thought actually the easy way is to commoditize it. I commoditized it. And then as we started the conversations again, I started to revisit it and make some tweaks.
Okay.
But my philosophy around training just fits in to what BPTW does anyway. So they're natural. They go naturally together. Accountability, self-responsibility, responsibility for learning, all those things fit into what we're trying to do. Runs alongside beautifully.
I think, thank you, Robin. It's been really insightful to get to know a lot more about what you do, and it is the same kind of concept as what an Even Better Place to Work is, which is lovely. Then your thing about creating a learning network is what we're trying to do here. We're all working with the same program, talking to the same audience, might be in a different country or a different language, but at the end of the day, it is trying to find out their needs to answer them. And it's more or less, Mercy just put it into the chat there, where you have to nurture them along. So is your program Aspire is something that's accessible in any way for people on this call that might want to tap in and say, how can that help their journey with their customer at a different stage? Or
Absolutely.
how would that mental learning system work?
Well, it's if people want some help, I'm happy to absolutely help in any way I can. The program is nothing I've got is not out there in the big wide world. I'm not that naive or egotistical to think that I've come up with some amazing stuff that's never been thought of before. So if people want to borrow bits and pieces, that's absolutely fine by me. What's the likelihood I'm going to come and work in South Africa? Pretty low, to be fair. And I'm not of that age where actually I really want to build a global network anymore. So if people want stuff, and I can help, I will help. That's an issue.
It might be a case of like Brian, Mercy's background, I know she's come up a few times, but her background is the HR. She sat on the other side of the desk for long enough where people like us have come to her, oh, we got a solution, oh, we can do this. And then, so the overwhelm has started over there.
Yeah.
And it might be that, and Brian is putting together the sales playbook with some input from Mercy. Maybe, you could chat with Robin.
Yeah, I'm more than happy. I think the one thing I would say is that, to be frank, I don't provide a free service for my clients. They pay for this stuff.
Absolutely.
And it's just part of the natural piece. And I'm just reading Mercy's comment and totally agree that it's about getting to that place.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm being paid to do this stuff to help them. And therefore, it's incumbent on me to do the right thing by them. I'm loving the dog, but he looks very wise. He's giving me side eye. I'm sure he is.
He's gorgeous, but he knows it. Look at him. Yes, excuse me. He's listening. He's
But yeah,
adorable, Dolores.
if I can help in any way, I'm more than happy to help in any way.
Yeah, look, I mean, I fully appreciate that because you're a trainer, which is where you get the bread and butter. Dolores is in the same boat where you do want to, you get paid for your time. Some others like Brian, he's just a hard seller. It's not really working well for him, so we got to go back to the drawing board on that one.
The sales playbook is for me. It's not for any of you.
But I would say, Ola, that if I go back to I've been involved in very, very early days. Very early days. So Shane used to run half days in the middle of London, and I'd go down and do a half day with him to learn and try and actually emulate some of the things that he does. Awful magician. He's a wonderful magician. I'm an awful one. But we've known each other for a long, long time. And so I got a little bit of understanding about where he was coming from as well. So he was and he again, like Brian, was very patient. And he would quite happily go, just try it with a client, just get 10 people on it or something with a client, just see what happens. And if it doesn't go, it doesn't go. It's not a problem. So I never really felt under any pressure. And I think it's the same. My relationship's the same with Brian. I think I'm not trying to ask him for stuff. And I've asked him for some big stuff, trust me. And he's always been there. He's always done it for me. So he's always taken the risk, which makes it an awful lot easier.
Absolutely, and that's what it's about, right? That's how you do it. It's got to answer the need for you and then the customer.
Absolutely, and I'm actually a very cynical buyer myself. So it took Shane a long time to get to me. Right, it must have been on the case for about 3 years before I'd even talked to him about it. So I'm very, very cynical. So if he can get through me, then
it's possible.
It works. Yeah.
anyone else have any other questions or comments for Robin while we've got his attention at no cost?
That's great to hear. Thanks for sharing, Robin. It's great to hear the way you do it. It's definitely food for thought for sure.
Hmm. It's like for me, it's very much a trust sale.
Mm.
Because you're and I'm sure Mercy will say this, I'm very privileged. I go into organizations, I get to work with all their managers. I could do more damage. I could do so much damage very easily. And that's not through being deliberate. That's just by being incompetent or negligent. So having that privilege to go in there, does it sets the bar, but secondly, it puts it in a much better position to have those conversations with people. But that's what slows it down a little bit as well, by the same token.
You also make a real impact, right, Robin? It's not just about the quick sale and
100%.
I've got a solution and then move on. It's about that impact that you leave them with.
Yeah, and I think Mercy, it's about creating that sense of a safe pair of hands.
Yeah.
You're going to make decisions that work for their business, and they know it's going to work for their business. It's not about whether I have other products that I don't make any commission on or whatever. But if they're right for the business, I have lots of trainers. I never take a commission on trainers. It's just these are right for your business. You need to work with these guys, and
Absolutely.
and it pays back at the end of the day. It's my 99.9% of my business is referral. You probably won't find me on social media anywhere. You won't find me on LinkedIn, primarily because I got hacked about 3 months ago. And everything got taken off, but you won't find me on Facebook. I think you'll find my business on LinkedIn, but I don't do posting. I don't do anything.
It's amazing.
Just all referral.
Which is great, and that builds up the trust side of it, it proves the trustworthiness.
Absolutely.
And you're not just putting up some AI configured splurb about everything that you do.
Well, you're 25% ahead of everybody before you even started. When you get there, and as I said, I work in law firms. Local authorities are highly, highly incestuous. So if you get a bad name in one local authority, forget it, because you're not going to be in there again. Sony and IT, very incestuous. So once you get into some of the businesses, banks as well, get a bad name with a bank, that's your lot. So it's about building and preserving. And funnily enough, from a self-preservation perspective, I also do things like sack the customer day as well. So if I've got customers who are not behaving themselves, they're not fulfilling their part of the contract, they're not paying their invoices, or they're messing me around in terms of moving dates around without any due respect to me or my time, then I don't want to work with them. And most people look at it and go, "You're crazy." But the one thing I have learned is not all business is good business.
True story.
So, be sensible in it. Not everybody who wants to buy Even Better Place to Work is a good client for investing. Even Better Place to Work, unfortunately.
Well, just like they want to believe in you, you got to believe in them.
Yeah, 100%. And you have got to be invested in them. You've got to be invested in them being successful. So a couple of weeks ago, I was with a client, and they run this thing. They call it they call it a hackathon, and it's literally they take everybody out of the business. They put them in small groups of 5 or 6, identify a problem within the business, and then they work out how they're going to fix it. And it could be anything. It could be DevOps, or it could be performance management or something else. And they come up to it and they fix it. And they were, "Do you want to come in?" I said, "Watch it." I said, "Yeah, I'd love to come in and watch it. We'll pay you for it." I said, "No, don't pay me for it, because I'm going to learn about your business. So why would I want to charge you for learning about your business because that actually means I can do more for your business.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
So little things like that.
Yeah.
No, I don't charge for everything. There's no point.
Just give and take, swings and roundabouts.
Yes, 100%, 100%. You know, if people phone me up the day before and say, "Sorry, Robin, can't do the training today because half the team are out," I go, "Oh well, not to worry. Golf course is open.
Yeah,
Another day." And everybody appreciates that, right? Yeah, everything's
exactly.
tough. Everything's tough. So I think I've taken up all of your time, taken up all of my time. So can I just say thank you? It's lovely meeting you. I recognise a lot of the work, the names, etc., from the chat. I don't participate in lots of chats. We've got hundreds of them on the go. But lovely to meet you all. If you've got any questions or you just want some help or whatever, just contact me. Brian, shall I put my details in the chat, or can
Yeah, just pop it on the chat.
yeah, I'll
Fine.
pop it in the chat. So
Thank
don't
you very
hesitate to
much.
contact me. I normally get back to people within by the end of the working day. And if I don't,
He's on the golf course.
you'll always get you'll always get a message
Phone my caddy.
about answering. And I certainly don't answer the phone on the golf course because it drives me nuts when other people do. Absolutely hate it. They had to play golf, right?
True story.
I don't play golf when I'm training people, so I don't expect to have to answer the phone when I'm playing golf.
Yeah.
So there's my email and my mobile number. That's the UK base, so obviously you need to drop the 0 and +44 if you'd like to get hold of me. Just a couple of things just to be aware of. As you all know, I work for myself, so I do have a golden rule that I tend not to answer my phone. So if you do call me, please leave a message and I will call you back. I don't call anybody back who doesn't leave me a message if I don't know you. And that's simply because you're probably a sales call. It's never lost me any business.
He's a cynical.
I know.
He doesn't trust anybody.
I told you I was very hard to sell to, Orla. Well, get to me first of all.
Exactly.
But leave me a message. I will call you back same day. And if you can't pick it up, I will leave you a message to say when I'm available the next working day. Okay, it's just an agreement I have with everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's great fun. As I said, I'm there if you need any help. So thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Robin.
Thank you.
Thanks, Robin.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Robin.
Robin.
Before
Thanks,
you all go, Robin mentioned a performance pledge during his Aspire thing. So maybe we should all just think about what kind of pledge or what are we going to do differently tomorrow, and put that in the group, and then we can have a look, see who achieved their pledge for tomorrow. Just a small little test right in the WhatsApp group, what you're going to do differently tomorrow, and then we can all talk privately and find out if you achieved your objective.
So let me tell you the rules.
Yeah.
Okay, the rules are it must be a doing thing. It can't be I'm going to sit in the bath and look at my navel and contemplate us. It has to be an action that you're going to carry out. You must do it before you get together as a group next time. And you get no points for trying to change the world. Small promise, big delivery.
Okay.
Small promise, big delivery. Not big promise, no delivery. Anyway.
Small promise.
Sounds good.
Thanks so much, Robin. We really appreciate you coming on board today.
Yeah,
No problem
this is
at all.
great. Thank you so much. Have a lovely afternoon.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Robin.
all.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Everybody.
Thanks very much, Robin. Thanks, everyone.